Fabian Zajani, Bill Franklin, John Schaub, Kenny Chin, Adam Albash. And unfortunately, that's the end of my part. So, yeah.
So the greatest facet of the internet, and certainly the most celebrated part, is its ability to connect people and information across continents. And especially with the modern advent of mobile devices, one can very nearly access anybody or any amount of information from across the globe. But how does this actually help us connect when we may be in the same room? The various technologies for sharing information can be broken down into three main dimensions. Proximity, which is the minimum or even maximum distance between parties. Scale, the number of people involved in the transaction. And volume, the amount of raw data being exchanged. The current telecommunication system has remained essentially same in structure since its inception over 100 years ago. Even as new technologies develop, they're essentially bolted onto an existing patchwork system. Any exchange of information requires a dozen or so steps through a variety of forms of infrastructure, and these transactions carry a great amount of overhead with them. This model of communication is a very aggressive approach to connecting sort of everyone and everything, and set at an infinite scale and volume as we. And in this idea, it's certainly a great start and has almost succeeded in its goal. However, if you were to interact with somebody in another continent, it would probably be a very defining point of your day. Most people spend the vast majority of their time interacting with several key social circles in their lives, such as your home life, with work, at school, of course, and whatever leisure social circles the time allows. These tend to be generally very close to one another, such that the current model really doesn't address how the vast majority of people are using it. And even as we develop, we sort of remain bound to the past and the forms of infrastructure left behind. And so we at Team Flip are working on a new model of communication that stresses direct connection between devices owned by networks of people who happen to be in a very local proximity, while still being open to seamless increases in scale and weight.
So our world is becoming increasingly based on social networking. We use the internet to get news, to talk to friends, to get directions, to find out about homework, basically to be plugged into the world around us. Team Flip's dedication is to make the world, and specifically the University of Maryland campus, easier to be plugged in. Some of the stuff that Hugo just talked about may seem a little bit abstract, and it's hard to put into words exactly where you think that our project is going. So we came up with a few use cases for a project. We have the office, where you may have a document to be giving out to a group of people that you could either print out and kill a few trees in the process. You could collect everybody's emails either at the beginning or the end of your presentation and possibly misspell them and not get it out to those people. You could create a wiki online, but all these things don't really take into account that you're in the same office together. We want to make something that addresses this. In the classroom, we have instructors who don't necessarily need to know your email addresses to put them into Elms. Let's say if you are attending a lecture such as this one, where most of you are University of Maryland students, but you may just be a person visiting from somewhere else who doesn't have a directory ID or anything like that. And I wanted to share our PowerPoint or some other supporting document for you. The only option for that is probably to figure out the Gemstone listserv or something. But what if there was a way to figure out, just based on the way that you are proximate to me, how to get these files to you? Thirdly, in disaster scenarios. Let's say there was a disaster such as the earthquake in Haiti this past year. Emergency responders really need a system in order to communicate with one another to find out where emergencies are happening, where support is needed. People who need help need to find out where help is and where to find shelter, water, etc. We've come up with an example using the ChirpMap system as a mock-up of how the Flip system could work. So you're right now in Skinner Hall for the Gemstone Colloquia. You can see around you that we have shared some music and audio. some photos, and our PowerPoint presentation, and our old essay, our old research paper. So these are things that you can get just by being in this lecture hall. Furthermore, if you get bored, you can see what's going on outside. See, there's a pickup football going out on Chapel Field, or you can see that there's a party going on at Club McKelvin. So this method of interaction allows people to figure out what's going on around them as fast as possible, and allows files to be shared in a way that has never been possible before. I'll hand it off to Cindy for our goal.
So Bobby gave you like a really good kind of demonstration of what Flip is going to be. So we're going to define some goals for you. Primarily, we want to increase efficiency of file sharing. That's our main Flip. And we want something that bypasses the everyday hassles of information sharing through the use of location-based technology. So I can share with you information because I am proximate to you, and not because of some other thing. We want to create a product that everyone at the University of Maryland can use. This would be tailored to UMD's specific needs, which is a unique blend of academia, social events, and technological savvy that only really a college campus has. We want to increase connectivity among students and faculty. We want to find a more interactive and efficient way to share information, especially assignments and even attendance, so that by being in the classroom, the professor knows that you're there without you explicitly saying so or passing around a sign-up sheet. I want to add social features to mapping and increase student participation in campus events through the spreading of information and real-time updates on a map. So let's say on the map that Bobby just showed you, we had the social layer, which would be, let's say, all the parties on or nearby campus. Or we could have a deals layer, which would explain all the specials at your favorite restaurants, like, let's say, Ratsy's or something. So we also want to develop crowdsourced solutions to problems, broad social problems. We can address campus safety, like let's say you are walking down an unsafe area of College Park. You can put it on the map and mark that as an unsafe area. This would greatly help police in determining which parts of campus are not as safe as the rest of them. And we hope to kind of increase the prevalence of location-based applications. It's not just what or who anymore, it's also where anything is happening. This offers like a whole new level of connectivity that's never been offered before. You may be connected right now, but how much of what you are connected to actually matters to you? You might be connected to somewhere halfway across the world, and to you, that doesn't matter. So we also want to pave the way for an ad hoc system that our model would support. We hope to remove this completely from any infrastructure in the future possibility. And our product goals, we hope to have a working prototype by the end of the semester, and Bobby is going to talk to you a little bit about that later. And we hope to have also a mobile application. And of course, we want to win Thesis of the Year.
All right, so you may be wondering actually what we have done. So presently we have developed our design specifications and completed the evaluation of feasible technologies, weeded out things that weren't exactly possible at the current time. So our design specifications are going out to a group called SEAM, which stands for Software Engineering at Maryland, and it's led by our team mentor, Jim Pertolo. It's a class that works with us in cooperation of developing this project. We meet with them, for example, for the past few weeks, a member from one of the subgroups, which are presented up here, has come to our team. And as you can see, it's kind of nebulous as the way that these things work. But our team works with every single team, who in turn work with one another to develop our goals in tandem with each other. So, what's going on with that, Bill?
Okay, here at Team Club, we're not just doing pure research. We're developing a product and using that to answer our research questions. So here you see an abbreviated product development scheme, identifying needs, drafting specifications, developing prototypes. These are all things we did over the course of last year. As mentioned, we're currently working with SEAM to develop a product. And then next semester, we'll begin the tracking and the data collection. So what we're planning to do is we're distributing it to classes, have them use it as part of the coursework. Then we will be collecting two kinds of data, quantitative and qualitative. The quantitative data will be collected by the software internally. It will be internal counters that keeps track of things like how many files are transferred, what times of the day to use, that sort of thing. And the qualitative data will be collected via surveys and focus groups with the users. And from that, we can analyze our software, figure out which features were flops and which ones may be flip.
Kind of to reiterate what other teams have already doubled into, choosing a mentor is really important. When you first get to speak with potential mentors next semester, be sure to ask plenty of questions so that you'll be able to see if they're knowledgeable about the subject, the topic that you want to propose, and to get a grasp of what resources that they have, such as labs or something that can really help you get started early, since you don't have all the grants or connections in the beginning. Be sure to show interest early in the projects that you're passionate about, because having an interesting topic will make Gemstone a lot more fun. But if you don't get into your first choice, be sure to give it a shot anyway. Understand that the lofty goals you set in freshman year will probably come down to reality, whether it's due to cost, feasibility. I think our project changed like 2 or 3 times, but we're still here. So don't get too depressed and stick with it. And lastly, be respectful of your fellow and upperclassmen teams, since they worked hard on this project, their projects, and this presentation.
Just getting it to go again. All right, credits. Jim Perlow, our mentor, and then Jim Miller, our librarian, right there. C, the team that we're working with, and of course, just Jim Perlow, right here, like 50 years ago.